Hey everybody, I wanted to talk to you real quick about homesteading and still being able to vacation or spend some time away. That's something that's kind of important to our family, is being able to still have that family time outside of homesteading. And it's something that we've always worked into our homesteading. We have been homesteading since 2014. We've had livestock since 2014. So it's something that we've always had to basically work with and work around in that process. And something with that is when you have livestock, or when you have animals of any kind, basically, obviously there's some sort of care that goes into them. Like our dogs and our cats and our rabbits and stuff like that need fed pretty much daily. Um, but then our sheep, it's a little bit different. So we don't do feed for our sheep at all, ever. And one of the reasons behind that is if you do feed, you have to trim hooves. You potentially have um, like more possibilities for birthing, where you have to like pull babies and stuff like that because the babies are a lot larger. Um, you may have to do teeth work, things like that, because you're feeding them grain. For us, we've always done grass fed, and we've never had to do any of that stuff. Because when you do grass fed, you don't have to trim hooves, you don't have to deal with teeth and things like that. And so for us, there's a lot less maintenance when it comes to dealing with our livestock. So you have that part of it. Now, when it comes to vacationing, so like my husband and I, my in-laws have been in town all week. That's why I've been a little bit MIA from YouTube. But my in-laws have been in town all week, and we have been traveling basically all over the state, going to different cool destinations and stuff like that, showing them around. And it's one of those things where we haven't really had to worry about our animals all that much. Now this morning, I fed the dogs just now and the cats, and my oldest daughter's checking her rabbits. But my husband moved the sheep, and we won't have to move the sheep for a couple days, and it's one of those things that even if we do a longer vacation where we're literally gone for several days, obviously with dogs, cats, and rabbits, you can give them extra food to last them through several days. And cats can honestly just hunt. Like, I'm not even really worried about the cats. We've got plenty of mice on this property that cats can eat. But even with our sheep, with doing rotational grazing like we do, we can move them to a new paddock. And we've had some in paddocks for like 5 days because the grass has just been so thick and so tall and so lush that we haven't had to move them. Now, that's not always the case, and some paddocks have less grass than others, especially right now when things are just starting to grow again. But we have that opportunity where we wouldn't even have to move our sheep for several days. And so that's something to think about when you are starting a homestead, is how much input are you wanting to put into your animals to where you can still have a lifestyle of being able to travel or being able to go places. Or, if you want to do a 2-day or weekend trip or whatever, family vacation because y'all just need the time together or whatnot, or you need a break, can you do that? A lot of times when you feed animals there's a pretty strict schedule you got to be on. And that's one of those things where, that's something you have to think about if you're doing feed. Now, you can obviously get a friend to come and take care of your animals. And just like with us, if we went on a longer extended trip, what we would have done is we would just have several paddocks set up and tell that person every X days you need to rotate the sheep. Now, they would probably need water, but we could also put them in spaces around the property on paddocks that had water accessible to them. So it's one of those things where even then, you could also put 8 buckets of water in the paddock with a sheep, and they'd be fine for several days. Our sheep we have 19 sheep, and all but like 2 are adults, and they only go through about 2 buckets a day of water, and that's if it's really hot, maybe 3 if it's really hot. So that's one of those things where even then, with us doing rotational grazing, we don't have to have a lot of input every single day with our animals. And so there's that to think about. Also, if you have chickens, thinking about how much space you have for your chickens, how much feed and everything like that. We're going to be getting chickens here very shortly, and with the amount of bugs on our property, there will be no feed cost. We have friends right now that have chickens that get to free range, and they don't feed their chickens anything. Like, there's no feed for chickens. The chickens just eat whatever bugs and ticks and everything. I mean, the amount of ticks we have here, they could live for years off just the ticks we have here. So that's something else to think about too, is scaling your homestead to the space you have. For us, we could have 30, 40, 50 chickens and not have to feed them anything because of the size of property we have. Can everybody do that? No. If you're on a quarter of an acre, you're not getting 40 chickens on there and not having to give them any feed. If you're on a quarter of an acre period, you're probably going to have to give some sort of feed, even if you only have maybe 2 or 3 chickens. But it's one of those things you have to think about. And when you start a homestead, you also have to think about who's going to take care of your animals while you're gone if you do need someone to take care of them. For us, we have friends here. When we lived in Florida, we actually typically would hire out our nephew, and he would take care of the animals if needed. Or, you know, my father-in-law or something like that. If we went on like extended family vacations, because there were times we were gone for 8, 9, 10 days as a family going on vacation. And that's something you do have to think about. But at the same time, if you're going to be gone for extended periods of time, you have to think about how you would train someone. And that's where kind of the system we have going, where we don't have a lot of input into our animals, works, because somebody who doesn't do this every day of their life can do it easily. You know, they don't have to figure out like feed portions or anything like that. And even with our sheep, with paddock shifts, we wouldn't have anybody shifting paddocks with our livestock. We just have the paddocks set up to where they literally just open them up in the next paddock, make sure they have enough water, and then be done with it. And we let them know how long it took between each paddock that they'd have to move them. So that's kind of some things to think about, is when you start homesteading. You know, everybody likes vacations. Everybody likes being able to get away and relax and just chill and not have to do the everyday like hard stuff. But are you able to? And have you created your homestead to where it's scalable for your property, and to where someone else, if needed, can learn very quickly how to take care of your animals without your animals suffering at all? Because you obviously don't want that either. Just some things to think about, guys. If you do have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them in the comments below. And of course, as always, please hit subscribe and that bell button for more notifications. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye.